Welcome to HeroQuest fans. It's Saturday night. We are live on Twitch. We're not live on YouTube. Twitch.tv/HeroQuest fans. Check us out. We're playing Rise of the Dread Moon tonight. Call for Heroes. If you're in the Twitch chat, you could certainly welcome to participate. Welcome to all of you. If you want to play with us live, controlling a hero, just hop into the HeroQuest fans Discord, into the voice channel known as Quest Talk. It's the easiest way we've found to play. And we can get started. Shout out, of course, to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio on YouTube for the music. As you can tell by my voice, I'm still getting over a little bit of an illness here, but I'm almost firing on all cylinders, so it's been good. And next weekend we should be doing our regular stream schedule, but the weekend after that, that is the first weekend of October, we may be taking a little break, doing a family outing. But after that, we'll be back to a regular schedule, and I'll let you guys know from there. But normally we do Friday stream, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, maybe a little bit longer if we want to, if we're feeling good. And then Saturday, 6 to 10 p.m. Central. It looks like our first hero tonight, Glasgow. Glasgow Gargoyle. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, better and better every day. How about yourself?
Aye, not too bad, thanks.
It must be a little bit late where you are, but thanks for joining us.
No problem. Yeah, I'm just driving home, so I'll be home shortly, in about 5 or 10 minutes.
All right, cool. So are you gonna play, or are you just gonna kind of drop in and say hi?
Yeah, no, I'll play. I'll play for at least I can play for a couple of hours, hopefully. So, if I stop talking after 2 hours, it's because I've conked out.
Yeah, no problem. I understand. Well, and I've made it quite clear with these streams. I know that they're long, and I have no problem if people just kind of like join for a little bit, conk out, drop in, drop out. It's fine. Because it's a lot to ask to say, hey, can you just sit here for 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite atmospheric right now. It's midnight. I'm driving home. The rain is light.
Got some rain?
And it's dark, and it's like Rise of the Dread Moon weather.
Yeah. Well, we had that blue supermoon not too long
So
ago.
I'm in the mood for Rise of the Dread Moon.
Nice. Well, before we get started, I did want to acknowledge, so two guys did something really cool for me. You may have seen them in the HeroQuest fans Discord. Theodore and Ben, also known as Maitreya. They were telling me, oh yeah, we're 3D printing this stuff. It's in color, and I thought, what? And I've expressed in the past how like I'm always so impressed by people who make these 3D boards, but the practicality of them, I mean, they're big, they're heavy, you know, they take up so much room, and it's great if you've got like a garage or something or a basement. It's set up for, you know, a permanent game thing, but I just thought just having to haul this out, it would just be such a chore if you didn't have like a big house, you know, a bunch of kids to help you. But anyway, they came up with this system where, yeah, go ahead.
I've seen some of these kind of 3D boards for HeroQuest, and I have to say that some of them look really brilliant.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think for me they would just take up too much space. I mean, the thing that I choose to give a lot of space to in my house is my Star Wars. That's my number one thing.
Sure.
So my HeroQuest, I've got like a few shelves of HeroQuest on my bookshelf, but I just don't have the space to have that sort of thing. Also, I don't have the patience to spend all those weeks and months putting together a three-dimensional HeroQuest board.
Yeah. Well,
some of them look brilliant. I'm happy to just look at other people's works of art and appreciate them.
Exactly. I mean, I don't have any kids myself, but I mean, I do have nieces and nephews, and it would be super fun to just have like a project where it's like, okay, we've got the afternoon, let's just set this up together, you know. But then you got it like, okay, now I got to break it down and put it away because I don't have a permanent place to have it, set up. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to have it like under glass or something. It's like, oh, time to play, and you just lift the thing off, and it's like, ta-da!
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. But the other thing is the logistics of having a three-dimensional HeroQuest board that you can easily manipulate walls and doors and secret doors and
Yep.
all that stuff. It really does seem like hard work. I mean, I've seen that people have done it and achieved that, which is brilliant.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would be great to have something. I mean, I saw one guy who'd gone to all the effort of having these, changeable walls and doors, and used these little magnets and such to make it all work properly.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. But
Yeah.
not for me.
I mean, I have no problem using the old cardboard. I mean, it folds up real nice, looks good on camera, not a problem. But anyway, I was talking with these guys and they were showing me their solution. And I thought, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And they're like, we want to send you a copy. Like, okay, well, I mean, if you want to, I can't guarantee I'll be able to actually use it on the stream because it sounds like it would be huge. I mean, my card table that I use is like 31 by 30, and they sent me this big, huge, heavy box that arrived today. And I recorded a video of myself opening it up, but I mean, it's going to take a while to edit that video, so it won't be shown tonight. But I just am showing a few pictures on the screen here of what it looks like. I set it up on my bed, and their solution was to have, like, each of the rooms is a 3D printed piece of plastic, but it's like in color, and the colors are really bright, which I thought was great. And the squares are like 1.5 inches each, and they're about the same like square dimensions as the original board, so like 26 by 19, but it's just enormous. And their solution was, yeah, to use those Neodyme Min magnets, which I always kind of worried about because it's like, okay, aren't those like really expensive and aren't they really powerful, and is that going to like erase my computer or something? But these magnets are not so strong that you can actually like the board is not like tight like a big sheet of metal. Instead, it's more like you laid a bunch of Legos end to end, but they're kind of like loosely stuck together. So I mean, they'll hold together, but it's not like glue. And the walls are completely optional, but they're just like little edge pieces that you can just set up. And yeah, it would take a little bit longer to set up than just unfolding a board, but it doesn't look like it would take that long. And you wouldn't have to use the walls if you didn't want to. You still use tiles, you still use furniture, but they came up with like these little like chunks of rubble for the barriers, which was kind of a neat idea. And then the doors, they have some doors that have edge pieces on them that have magnets, and it sticks on there fairly well. But then there's also just regular doors that you can just put anywhere, so it looks like they fit. And they all have hinged flip, like the door actually flips open, so you don't have a difference between closed and open doors. I thought that was a cool idea. So, I mean, as far as solutions go, it looks pretty neat, and it has a lot of the things that I would complain about, the taking forever to break it down and set it up again. Seems minimal. It's really bright and colorful, so maybe it doesn't look as realistic as some of those like resin things that I've seen people create. I mean, it doesn't have any LED lights or anything fancy like that, but I mean, it looks functional, it looks durable. And the other thing they sent, which I was not expecting, and I'll show this in a later video, but let me just get rid of these pictures here. So thank you to Theodore and Maitreya for this. So they 3D printed this box, and it has all these figures in it. It's like, oh, it's all the miniatures. But then if you look closely, you realize these are not painted. These are actually like color 3D printed. And I thought, well, who cares about that, because I've already got my own figures, that I'm painting. But the nice thing about this idea, and I'm perfectly happy to, show these off, is on the board, it's like easy to tell, like at a glance, like, okay, that's the barbarian, and he's got some color to him. And you've got the orcs are like, different colors. And that's just 3D printed plastic. It's like PLA. And they did some variations, so there's like a skeleton with a sword. But you've got your classic skeletons, all the classic designs. So yeah, I don't think they could sell these. It's all like Games Workshop, Citadel. There's the dwarf. Chaos Warrior.
Always tricky with copyright.
Yeah, it's like HeroQuest compatible, HeroQuest inspired.
Well, that's a different matter. That would be just trademark.
Patent. Inspires, trademark.
Trademark, like, you totally are allowed to advertise and say, hey, by the way, this thing is compatible with this thing that someone else sells. Like, that's completely protected, at least under kind of the US principles, because you're accurately identifying your product to your consumer base. And as long as you make your presentation makes it clear that it's like, I'm not saying we make this other thing, I'm just saying that our thing works with it. It's like selling knockoff K-cups or whatever, right? It's like, hey, you can say these work in a Keurig machine.
Yep, L-cups.
Keurig tries to prevent other third-party shit from working in their machines with technological solutions because they can't just rely on the legal system to say, hey, you can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. Anyways, how's it going, Kurgan?
Hey, man. Welcome.
I probably can't stick around to play tonight, but I haven't seen you and haven't been able to chat in a while, and I just thought I'd pop in while I saw you here just to say hi, let you know I miss being a part of the show.
Shucks. Well, welcome to you, and thanks for stopping by. Like I was telling Glasgow, I mean, I'm not really particular. If people want to show up for a little bit, I mean, there's no obligation. You're not required to attend a certain number of sessions or a certain number of hours. It's just, if you're here and you want to play, it's great. You want to lurk, that's great too. It's all good. But anyway, I'm just showing off, Theodore and Ben, aka Maitreya. I think they're doing some pretty impressive 3D printed stuff. This is PLA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I don't know if it's the same ones, but I've seen some of the stuff that has been posted on the Discord. Yeah, is that the same products?
Stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, some of the color printing is really impressive. The amount of detail, and I think maybe even more impressively, the definition.
Yeah. Well, and these guys admit they're amateurs. They're not, professionals or anything, and it's like, if they can do that after experimenting for a year or so, it's like, wow, really has come a long way as far as 3D printing goes. But yeah, the board, I could see like a board or something like that being something you could, I mean, there's people that sell stuff on Etsy just blatantly not caring about intellectual property at all. But, something like that. And then, you could use your own generic dungeon with whatever. It's not for people who want to save money or want to save space, that's for sure. But it could be, I mean, to me, it's like a labor of love. It's like you're a super fan and you just want to just show what a big super fan you are by creating something like that. So anyway, later on, probably Monday evening, you'll see a video pop up on YouTube showing off what they sent me there. And again, it's not for me to like wave it in everybody's face and flex and be like, oh, I'm so cool because I got this. I didn't even want it, but they talked me into it. And
right. If they tried to send it to me for free, I'd be like, I have too many miniatures already.
And they were really cool about it too. It was like, not like, oh, you have to, shill this for us kind of thing. And I try to be careful about that sort of thing. People send me stuff and it's like, that's really cool. But just understand, I'm not going to be your pitchman. I'm just going to, and I'll say what I think of it. If it has something lacking, and it may work for me or it may not. I mean, right now, I don't have a table big enough for this.
Yeah.
Back when I had my laptop, I could have gone into my bedroom and like laid it on. I mean, that's it on my bed right there. And I could have recorded from there. Of course, then that's a pain. You got to put it away when it's time to go to sleep. Sleep on the couch. You must pitch my stuff. So anyway, my point is they weren't pushy about it, but they were just like, yeah, we want to send this to you. Why don't you see what you think? It's like, cool. Well, I'm happy to accept it. So it's pretty cool. Like, yeah, when you start to get famous, people send you things. Not that I'm famous, but anyway.
You're Hero Quest famous, right?
Hero Quest famous, yeah.
You're famous within a very specific community.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like not even in the top 10. Like if you look at the videos and stuff, like you won't even find my stuff.
Oh yeah.
You can't even.
I mean, I guess.
So it's like,
yeah. Well,
right.
there's. Yeah, I mean, is there? I don't know how much, honestly. Like, how much of the already kind of dedicated Hero Quest community is actually going and looking for Hero Quest videos on YouTube? Like, most of the time, I'm not going to go there because they're not going to tell me anything I don't already know.
Yeah. Well, if you look for Hero Quest, you're not going to find me. You're going to find. You're going to find
the
ads,
algorithm.
You're going to find Always Bored,
Right.
Never Boring. You're going to find all these one-off videos people have done.
Right, where their channel is already a big channel, and then they do one video about Hero Quest, and because their channel's really big, right, the channel's really big, so the algorithm is like, lots of people must want to see this.
But to be fair, at the same time, like, I don't do any of the promotion that you're supposed to do when you become a content creator. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter, X. I don't take out ads. I don't have, I'm not server farms that, spam me on Facebook or anything like that. So it's all word of mouth.
I hate that stuff, frankly.
I mean, it's like, that's the game and that's how it's played. But it's like, I don't want to spend the money on that kind of stuff. So,
well, I mean, I just mean as a consumer, I hate being told to do it. Every video that someone does, right? The follow me on Instagram. Here's my Patreon. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I'm like, stop. If I want to do those things, I'll do them on my own.
Yeah. At the same time, psychologically, apparently, if you tell people to do it, they'll do it.
Yeah, it's what my only guess is that there's people out there who are, I guess, must just be very like live in the moment. Like they don't have strong opinions or anything. So like they stumble on a video, and if the creator tells them to subscribe, they think, oh, that's a good idea. I should do that.
Yeah.
And if the creator doesn't, it just doesn't occur to them to do it independently or something.
Maybe.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
I gotta say this. I guess I'm spending too much time on this, but like I'll go to someone's video and go, wow, that guy made a really good point. That was a good video. And I'll like thumb it up, and I'll start to leave a comment, and then I'll realize that the guy's got like 5 million followers, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to do anything. Like he's already like blown up, and probably any comment I leave will just be like drowned out. So it's almost like it kind of diminishes what it is. Whereas if it's somebody smaller, and they have like single, double, triple digit views,
might actually make a difference.
This guy's really cool. Like, might put some more effort into it.
Yeah, right.
Like, I just got my help.
Yeah, I stuck to my guns. My copy of Dread Moon just arrived yesterday.
Oh.
Waited for it to go on sale.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be doing Dread Moon tonight. And, of course, the big news out of PulseCon, which I was surprised. I mean, I knew they were going to talk about the dice, but I was surprised that's all it was. It was just dice and scroll, $35, pre-orders. Like, nothing about any of the expansions. It's like, okay, well, at least all the people that scalped it, even though they, and the people that bought the scalped copies, even though they knew it was coming, are, burned. It's like, okay.
I mean, I have come to just have to accept that I am just so... my mindset is clearly just not in the majority when it comes to this stuff. I'm just like, I would take them if they were free, but dice? Like, I'm not going to spend money for dice.
Yeah, well, they were free if you pre-ordered.
That's what I mean, right? Like, if I was already... I thought it was they gave them out at the con, right?
They gave it out at Gen Con, but also... Well, and that's... I don't 100% know all that stuff. But I mean, like people were messaging me, and I got the messages later, so I couldn't do anything about it. But people wanted me to like place pre-orders for stuff, just anything
Oh,
from Avalon Hill,
just
so
to
that
get
they
the
would get the
dice.
dice. Yeah, because it wasn't just people at the convention, although they were handing them out there. But it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you pre-ordered, I guess in that month maybe you got them. But the fact that they're not just like selling off the ones that are left,
Yeah, they said they'll
They're-
keep making
they'll
them
just
as long as
keep
they
on
keep
making
selling.
keep on making them and selling them. Yeah, so that they've got
Yep.
that scroll, which I've tested it out. There's like nothing to it. I mean, it lies flat. You roll your dice, the dice stay on it. I mean, it's just a dice scroll, play mat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that it's there,
They're pretty-
right? For the
pretty
people
looking.
who don't like to miss out and just want to have all of the stuff
Yeah.
and are willing to spend the money. Like, I'm glad they're selling it, but I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's not the sort of thing that it would occur to me to make a fuss about. I'm like,
Right.
oh, cool little convention freebie. If I happen to be going to that convention anyway and I can pick it up, I will. But otherwise, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need it either, but they were giving it away, so I would take it.
Right. That's what I mean. Is it's like if you're gonna be there anyway,
Mhm.
might as well.
Well, and
But some people make a fuss, right? They go like, "Oh, you can't allow this to go. Now it's going to be on eBay. People are going to be selling it for all exorbitant
Yeah.
prices." And it's like, well,
But
they
they
wouldn't
can-
if people didn't buy it.
they can. Well, that's the thing, though. And to be devil's advocate here, and because I am totally against the whole scalper thing. Yeah, people just prey on that. It's like they go to a convention, they don't care anything about the stuff. They just snap it up.
Right.
It was
They
free
snap it up to resell.
to resell it. Yeah, and it's like Hasbro could charge $350, and they would sell them. Like they could charge $350. Now, I guess the mystique of them is, oh, these were exclusive to a convention. Oh, I couldn't go to the convention. I guess but I want them, so I'm going to pay $350. It's like, okay, well, you could pay $400 to go to the convention, or you could pay $350 to not go and just get them, I guess.
I mean, this is
but-
it's just
But they're
it- for me-
$35. $35, yeah, for a set of dice, that's incredibly expensive. But
Yeah, and
They're-
I don't
they're
know what they
fancy
cost
dice.
to produce, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what maybe they're awkward to ship. Like,
well, there's like 2 squirts of ink in there and a little dash of sparkly glitter, but otherwise they're just resin dice. And then they have
Yeah,
like
I
one
don't know.
pass on the 6 sides for paint. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've looked at them. They're higher quality in terms of the detailing than like the dice that you get in the box.
yeah.
I mean, they're very sharply defined.
I mean, I'm sure the production costs
But-
are being factored into what they're selling it
Yeah.
for, but there's probably also a dose of like, these are, they're being marked up a little as kind of a cosmetic, like,
Sure.
you don't need these to play, so we can
These are
charge a little
elite-
more
elite
because
dice.
the only people who are going to buy it are the people who are basically like, I will
Yeah.
buy this at any semi-reasonable price.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
If you're the type
and-
of person that spends a lot of money on dice and dice mats, then this
or
would be
just like the sort of person who says it's an official HeroQuest product, ergo it must be in my collection.
yeah. I was
You know,
pretty annoyed by the whole Quebec thing. I guess people were saying that in 2022
Yeah.
the law was
Quebec makes it very awkward. You basically can't sell something
them.
without selling it in both French and
But
English. There,
see, it seems so easy. Like it's dice. There's no like 10-page instruction manual with it. It's just like a piece of paper that says HeroQuest Dread Moon or Dread Veil dice. So they have to translate that into
I don't know.
French.
I don't know what to tell you. It does seem like it wouldn't be a difficult process, but I think what they're saying though is that whatever the distribution,
So much legal red
whatever
tape,
whichever
they can't do
whichever
it.
department. Well, no, it sounds like it's whatever department is responsible for distribution to Quebec has to decide that they want to localize this product. Avalon Hill. I'm sure Avalon Hill could try to put their internal persuasion hats on and try to talk him into it or whatever, but ultimately it's some other department in Hasbro that basically has to say, yes, we want to bring this product to this market, and there's only so much Avalon Hill themselves can actually do.
Right. I guess it would be silly to just say, okay, none of the HeroQuest products are available in Quebec, but these dice are. So like people are, ordering
Yeah.
from the US or from Canada, the wider
Right.
Canada, are getting them from France and getting them shipped in, but then the dice they can just buy. It's like, well, dice
Yeah.
to what?
Oh, I thought Hero Quest was available in French though. Isn't it
Yeah.
sold in Quebec?
Well, whenever there's a new product on Hasbro Pulse, it always says not available in Quebec. So
Oh.
I haven't gone back and checked to see, like, is Keller's Keep, Return of the Witch Lord, is that stuff available now? I guess it's
That's a good-
it's
yeah.
all piecemeal. It's like it's not just an automatic decision where they just say, okay, this ships globally. It's like, okay, well,
Right. I
each
think
language they have to decide for each product.
Right, I think that's because essentially any generic product that Hasbro decides to produce basically can automatically go through their standard North American distribution channels. Right, so anything they feed in there is basically by default, you can sell it in the US and everywhere in Canada except Quebec.
Mhm.
And then you have to do that extra check for Quebec to be like, oh, does it have French?
Yeah,
So that's what I imagine it is that the stuff just shows up that way by default because it's just
Yeah.
like, well, anything we make, we
Well,
can sell at least
you buy.
in this, you know.
I mean, I remember since the '80s to today, you buy some piece of generic consumer electronics, and it's got a little generic black and white manual, and you open it up, and it's got Italian, German, French, English,
Yep.
Spanish,
Spanish,
Chinese, Japanese. It's like and it's just there, and it's just turn on unit, insert battery. It's like somehow they were able to do that. And it's usually like badly translated. So there's some process, and they want to be proud of it and all this sort of thing. But it must just be so time consuming and expensive that they just haven't decided it's worth it yet. I don't know. But I feel bad for anybody living there who is a fan and now gets screwed over because of that law. And then the company not wanting to bother. Like it's driving away business.
Yeah, I mean it's you can find ways if you're really that interested in the product, you can
import
have
it.
someone buy it and mail it to you or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that's the sort of thing that people on Yield In would do. This is starting to sound like
Absolutely.
a rant cast. See, I should have.
Yeah.
It's like people on Yield In during the HasLab campaign were just like I'll ship it
I'll
to
place
you.
a mythic order for you and just mail it to you afterward,
yeah.
right?
Like okay, well,
I mean, it's
shipping's $30,
cost you
$30.
the extra shipping, but
Yeah, because some people, would be shady about it and go, well, it takes so much time for me to wait in line at the post office. Someone just upcharge you, but a lot of people were just like, no, it's
I'll do it. Yeah,
I'll
the sort of thing.
charge you for what
do
it
it.
costs, and if you handshake on it, it's good. And that's the kind of community that we have.
Yeah.
I say we. I mean, I had nothing to do with Yield In. I'm just a member.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Yeah.
Because there's
These
definitely
things are
lots of people online who are perfectly willing to screw over anybody they can. But
yeah.
there's also good
And
people out there.
you see these things. This is nothing new, right? From my standpoint, right? I think I mentioned it on the Avalon Hill Discord. There's this old card game that was licensed out of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
Hey,
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I just got to acknowledge. Yeah, Maitreya is here. I wasn't paying attention. He said it's his birthday, or no, he's got to go to a birthday party. Well, whoever's birthday it is, happy birthday, and thank you for the gift. Thank you for sending me the 3D Hero Quest. Yeah, so maybe when I get a bigger place, I'll be able to set it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. Carnigal, what were you saying?
With the translations, right? So this old card game, you saw the translation dwindle as the game went on. Like the earliest sets that were made in the largest numbers and kind of distributed the most widely to try and get the thing to catch on were translated into 13 languages. This is in the 90s. There were a few markets that weren't really markets yet in the way that they would be now.
Yeah.
I think somebody recently on the Discord for that game, they were like, this wouldn't have made business sense at the time, but it's like, what about translating this into Arabic or Chinese, where it was things like, oh, it wouldn't have even been on their radar as a viable, as being a cost effect, having a good return on investment back then, but now it's like, oh, it's totally different.
You translate it, but you got to prove to somebody that it really is worth your time, because it's like come
Right. It's
on.
like,
They
is
don't-
that market interested? You know, is
They
kind
don't
of
have
the,
Google Translate, but yeah, they got to print it. And I understand with like the app, it's like, okay, now you got to hire a voice actor to like say all the lines and have it not
Yeah.
sound crappy. 'Cause
But
you
I
have to
mean,
take
when
pride
you
in your
talk
work.
about not, where the catalog for a given product might be different, depending on where you are, right? It's like, oh, here in the US, we get to see everything, but, someone, I think they were saying it hadn't shown up on the Oceania
Yeah.
sales yet. It's not showing up in
The-
Quebec, et cetera, et cetera. Like this game, the first set was translated into all these languages.
Mhm.
I think I mentioned even when, one of our other regulars said something about Spanish, and I was like, well, like this old game, they translated it into 3 different versions of Spanish.
Yeah.
Like
Well, my
it wasn't
sense
just Spanish. It was
my
like
sense
they,
of-
they were like, we're going to give you a specific Catalan version,
Yeah,
and
my
we're
sense
going to
of
give you a
justice is
Basque
just
version.
like as a fan, it's like, okay, listen, I don't care. There's one guy in Greenland. Like we need to get it to him, and so he can have it in his native tongue.
Yeah.
It's like because that's
Yeah.
how it was back in the day. But I understand. Yeah, they're a company. They're trying to make a profit. They gotta convince. They can't just do whatever they want. They gotta convince somebody above them that this is actually
That it's worth the cost.
worth the cost.
and
yeah.
yeah, and what you
Because if
saw
not, I mean, you
was-
got to market it now to those people and say, "Hey, there's this thing called HeroQuest that you can buy. Please buy it."
Yep.
No.
Yeah, and
Thanks. We don't care.
Yeah, but what you saw was a dwindling of the languages as the game went on and became more mature.
Well, I get it. There's plenty of text to translate for HeroQuest itself. You got the cards, you got the rules,
honey bun.
but you
My daughter's about to go to bed, so
okay.
I gotta jump off here soon
Okay,
so that
well,
I don't
thanks
make
for-
too much noise. But
Thanks for joining in and
yeah.
sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm just noting though that I was just noting the parallel, right? Like by the time you got to the very last set that they produced before the company had kind of a generalized business disruption and ended up having to declare bankruptcy. But like the last set produced was only made in English.
Mhm.
You went from we're
Fan
trying to
translation.
distribute this all over the world in everyone's native tongue to only making it in English and nothing else, and then
Yeah.
so you sort of,
Well-
it doesn't feel like anything new to me. Unfortunately, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
people
They've
they're always
also-
looking to cut costs.
Yeah, for sure. And they've also got to sell it to their bosses and say, listen, like, look at the people scalping this stuff. Like, we could be collecting some of that money, don't you think? Or like if it was just fan translations, or look at all these people in. I'm just gonna make it up because I don't know. But look at all these people in Spain that are like ordering it from Jamaica to have it sent to them, and it's like we could get some of that money. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Well,
well,
it's-
maybe we can
yeah.
swing it.
Sometimes it's
Figure it out.
do we have a distribution channel that already exists to sell it there?
Right,
Do we
right.
have a process to do a
And-
translation
and
to
we
that
don't-
language?
We
Do
don't
have-
know all that stuff, but yeah, like just to me, just as an ordinary person, it's like
It feels unfair.
it feels baffling. It's like, can't you just like run it through Google Translate and just like print a few extra copies and just like send it off? But yeah, they've got all this other stuff to explain it and millions of dollars and blah blah blah. But it's like, figure it out.
And you've got like the people at Avalon Hill. I think it's pretty clear that this is, at least in part, a labor of love, not just
Yeah.
a thing they're doing to earn a paycheck. They're enjoying what they're doing and trying to
Yeah.
bring new stuff to HeroQuest.
Well,
But
I believe-
some accounting department person at Hasbro,
yeah.
their job is, they get credit for doing a better job if they are like able to eliminate a distribution channel from a product line by saying, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
not enough people are buying this in the native language. Like, let's just sell it in English and let them deal with it. Like,
Yeah. I saved you guys, $100 million
right.
as opposed to wasting $100 million.
And to them, it's just a line on a balance sheet. They don't know what the product is. They don't care.
Xerxes says, agreed what is saying, but why didn't they include the dice in Dread Moon like they did in Frozen Horror? Well,
I
They
think
did-
because
they
it
did-
wasn't part of the plan for Dread
yeah,
Moon,
it
right?
wasn't.
Like,
I don't think it was. I mean, they did brand these dice as like Rise of
Yeah.
the Dread Moon, and the mat too, even though it's just a generic
Yeah.
play mat that happens to have the word HeroQuest embossed on the
but,
outside.
yeah. But if I had to guess, they probably the idea for that probably started later.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think they had already put their production process for
it's
Dread
not
Moon
like
into motion.
It's not like a video game where they can just kind of like shovel it in there. It's like, yeah, there's got to be room in the box. They've got to have the stuff
Right. They had
laid out
if I
ahead
had
of time
to guess,
to like put it on
right.
the line.
Yeah, if I had to guess, right, like the sheet, the plastic, what are they called? The stupid things that hold the miniatures in place.
Yeah,
the candy trays.
Candy trays, yeah, whatever they really are.
Like,
yeah.
Those were probably already designed when somebody had
Vacuum-formed
the idea.
styrene, shelving.
Yeah.
But
Right,
well,
but it's
the dice would fit easily in the box, easily. But the scroll,
Usually,
the
they
scroll
don't
is
put
really
those
bulky.
things. They don't put them in loose though, right?
No.
Like the
They'd have to
Frozen Horror, the dice were in a slot in the candy
Yeah,
tray.
they could have put a couple groove, because there's actually empty space in that box, which is
Right, but what I'm
supposed to be
saying
for
is, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is it wouldn't surprise me if the idea for the dice was like, the candy trays were already designed and production was underway. The way that the box was going to be filled and packaged, those instructions had already gone to the factories that were putting the stuff together. Like
because those tins could be for anything, but they just printed the outer image that shows the Dread Moon thing, and then those little cuts in the foam just with a knife, and then just put 6 dice in there.
Yep.
But yeah, but I mean,
that would be my guess.
That scroll is too big. It wouldn't fit in the box. Like, you'd have to like flatten it out. Like, it would always be an extra thing.
Yeah.
Unless it were totally redesigned. Like if it lay flat and it was smaller.
I mean, I think the size of the scroll is probably evidence enough, right? That it was just never intended to go in that box.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have designed it with a bigger box.
I was thinking that they were gonna wait on those dice, and that we'd end up seeing them in one of these other boxes that are coming out.
Yeah.
Because we've got 3 other boxes coming out in the next 6 months, presumably.
Maybe.
So.
3 in 6 months?
Yeah. Well, Prophecy of Telor, Spirit Queen's Torment, and then Against the Ogre Horde.
Has Spirit? I don't think did I miss that Spirit Queen's Torment was confirmed as a release?
Yeah. Well, so Avalon Hill has confirmed none of this. They haven't even confirmed Prophecy of Telor, even though they've shown us pictures of it. But that's just
they showed us pictures of the box,
right? But they didn't say it was coming out, and they didn't say when it was coming out. So there's no official release date. But we just have to keep in mind. I mean, with Frozen Horror, there was no official release date until after people had reviewed it online. Like, people had opened their boxes and reviewed it, and then there was the official announcement. So there's an official date somewhere, just we don't have it yet. But we know from what those stores, I mean, why would they tell those stores, hey, here's what's coming out, if they weren't really going to do it?
Oh, is that what it is? Is that the stores?
It
was the leak from the stores that there's a Spirit Queen's Torment. Okay.
2 different stores in 2 different states confirmed that that's what it was. So Spirit Queen, Prophecy of Telor, and then Against the Ogre Horde and Wandering Monk were 2024. So we didn't have an exact date. I mean, for all we know, that's December 2024 is Against the Ogre Horde.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Spirit Queen, yes,
we'll see.
Part of the Mythic tier. The only part of the Mythic tier that according to Encarmine at Gen Con, I mean, he wouldn't tell us this if it weren't true. The only things that they didn't anticipate re-releasing were Joe Manganiello's stuff, so the Dragon, the Tiles, and Crypt of Perpetual Darkness, and then the quote-unquote exclusives, which was Mentor, Witchlord, and Sir Ragnar Prisoner. Everything else, up for grabs. They want to release it. It'll come out whenever they release it.
I mean, and when they can find a good way in which to release. I mean, I think one of the things with I have perhaps been more skeptical of the mythics than most, and it's sort of been because, like, what are you going to put in the box other than a tile sheet and a quest book?
Well, you've got all those stretch goal figures, so you just divide it in half, and then you fill up the box. I mean, there's plenty of room.
But I think the thing there is that those figures don't actually have any relationship to the quest.
No, they don't. But think about it this way: the Guardian Knight has no place in Rise of the Dread Moon, but he's in there. It's just a good excuse to say, I mean, other than he exists in the universe. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there was some Guardian Knights, and then here
Yeah.
he is. But yeah, I mean,
I mean, that one was also, though, I
you
think
don't
they were
need-
directly
I mean,
they were directly responding to a PR nightmare with the
Yeah.
Guardian Knight.
But the mythic stuff is also a form of that too, because to this day, people are still begging for that stuff. People are still buying scalped,
Yeah.
stuff. People are still pissed that they missed out on it. So yeah, the Guardian Knight was definitely something they had to jump on to really quick because it was a retail product.
Right.
But yeah,
I guess that to me
I
is
don't-
kind of the difference.
I mean,
is-
yeah. If it were up to me, okay. So selfishly, I have all the mythic stuff already. Okay, I didn't overpay for it. I own it. I've got it already. I don't need it. Like, is it really that big a deal that I have like an alternate sculpt of the Abomination? No, doesn't matter at all. It's just a slightly different looking monster. But for the sake of all the people that wanted that, why wouldn't you release it? And why wouldn't you just shove it in wherever you want it? I mean, you don't need to write a special quest that calls for that character. It's just there, and you can use it, just like the Knight.
I mean, I guess I see it kind of as a like economy of packaging thing, right? Like if they had actually just done a, here's the mythic bundle where you get just all the stuff from the mythic tier
Just
except
re-release
things that they can't, just
Yeah,
all in
they
one
could do
box,
that.
right?
They could do
Because
that.
it's like the way that they're parceling it out piecemeal. It's like, well, they got to put something else in that box to make it worth buying an entire separate box for this.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't have to, but again, and Carmine made it clear that they were trying to make it so that each box felt like it was substantial. It wasn't just, you rip open the bag and there's a quest book inside and that's it. They could do that, but instead they want to
Right.
have there's like the medium-sized box and the slightly smaller sized box, and so you expect plastic, cardboard, and paper to all be in each one.
Right. That's why, I'm just sort of
And those
assuming
price
that.
points. So I'm just
I've been
saying,
assuming
if
that
they
they're
go along
gonna.
with that.
Yeah.
If they go along with what they've done before, they could easily parcel it out into like 2 Colors Keep sized boxes with all the
Right.
mythic stuff that they're allowed to release, for $25-$35 a pop. And then against the Ogre Horde, they can put in a bunch of new stuff and sell it for
Yeah.
$45.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, right? Selfishly, I already have the entire mythic tier. So,
Mhm.
Just for me, I'm like, well, I kind of hope that they do some new stuff that's actually like a tie, maybe they revise the quest books and they come up with some new things that are tie-ins to the revised versions of those
But
quest packs that are brand new stuff that we had no idea we were going to get. That's what I'm hoping for from those boxes rather than just alternate sculpts.
well, some people are gonna say, curse you for forcing me to buy this twice. And
I mean,
they're gonna do that. But
yeah.
There's
If it's exactly the same, I'm not going to buy it twice. Like,
but
if
think
it's just
about
all
it, though.
stuff I already have.
the number of people that applies to is very small compared to the number of people who have never gotten this stuff,
Right.
who would get it just because it's something new in HeroQuest. I mean, it's new to them.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I could buy the mythic tier for $1,000, or I could buy it piecemeal for like a couple hundred.
Yep.
It's like, okay,
At a
well,
relatively
obviously I'll do that.
reasonable retail price.
Yeah, and it
I mean,
wouldn't matter.
I
Just
certainly have sympathy, right, for the people where it's like, I would have bought the mythic tier if I had known it was going on, but I didn't find out about it until the campaign was over, because Hasbro really dropped the ball on marketing and getting the word out about
and Avalon Hill gets it.
the campaign.
They know what they want. They know what we want.
Yeah.
And they're paying. They made a couple mistakes, but for the most part, like they know what to do. But like progress is slow, and they've got to go through the proper channels to make it happen. So
I imagine there are probably at least
The
some
agony.
degree of guidelines about, not flooding the market with some stuff all at once.
maybe. But yeah, you think
Could be.
about it like, okay, this stuff's been out for 2 years, and people still want it and can't get it. So
I mean, like, I don't know that they would be. I don't know whether this would just be not a thing they would do because of the lead time that it actually takes, or, I guess I just have a hard time imagining a scenario where they'd have like just suddenly like there are three complete quest packs all hitting the market on the same day or something. Be like, whoa.
I'm pretty sure back in the day, I mean, Keller's Keep, Return of the Witch Lord, there wasn't a huge gap between those. They came out at the same time. And the
think
Barbarian
those-
and Elf
yeah.
packs came out at the same time. Even
I think
though-
it's just the board game market doesn't work the same as it did in the 80s and 90s, though.
probably not.
You know, those things
Yeah.
needed to get on store shelves.
Somebody did say in the Discord, oh, it seems like every 6 to 7 months, like a new release comes out, and then and Carmi's response was something like, "Oh, you finally caught on," or something like that. So
yeah.
it's like, okay, well, maybe that's their ideal, and
I mean, I think
it's
they have.
not
I think it's
exact, but
right.
it's usually it's usually within 1 to 2 months of when we hear something's going to come out is when it actually does. You know, that
Yeah.
at least somebody can get it. Maybe not every single country gets it, but
Right.
so I'm confident that the stuff that we've heard is going to come out is coming out, and they weren't just lying about it. I mean, I guess early on we kind of thought maybe, like what I was told was, well, we're just waiting for Joe Manganiello to approve it or something. But they never said, oh, he said no, or he wanted too much money, or it just. But now it just seems like they're shutting that off and saying, nah, that's probably not going to happen. Whereas before it's
Yeah,
like, well, maybe
it
there's a
might
chance
just-
it'll happen.
Yeah. Maybe it might be one of they can't even get it in front of him. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe his agent is just saying he's not interested.
Or maybe they just decided it wasn't that great. Like, he
Yeah.
did it more as a, he was a fan and wanted to get involved, but he didn't want it to go any further than that.
Yeah.
Could be.
Or maybe he was a huge pain in the ass to work with, and they just don't want to do business with him anymore. Who knows?
See, I don't know, and I can never assume that because people in Hollywood, they do their own thing, and we don't know what that culture
Yeah.
is like.
Right.
But I'm willing to just assume the stuff that they're telling us. I mean, there's a reason they're telling it to us.
Yeah.
If they're
Yeah,
trying to throw us off the scent, they're
absolutely.
going to say. But I don't expect them to just lie. And
Sure.
if they make a promise and it failed to deliver, that looks bad on them. So I'm just going to take them at their word. Is what I believe.
Yeah.
And if they can't answer, okay, well, there's a reason they can't answer.
Yeah, I think certainly we ask things sometimes, and it's like the odds that they can actually make a public statement on
Yeah.
that are probably
Well,
slim.
Yeah, I mean, it looks bad on them if Chris Nato gets on there and says, "Oh yes, this will be coming out next year," and then it doesn't come out. It's like, "Oh, we're so sorry. We thought it was going to come out, but it won't." It's like, ouch. Now the next time he makes an announcement, everyone's going to go, "So is this a real announcement or an empty promise?" So they got to be real careful.
Yep.
So I figure by the time they get to the point where they're saying this is happening, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like at that point, right? At that point, like the wheels of production are already moving.
Yeah. So it was always
like-
intended to be a retail product. It was always intended that the majority of that Mythic stuff was going to come to retail. And now it's just a
Yeah.
question of when exactly it happens and in what form.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just sort of like for my own sake, I hope that they spruce them up and add some more bells and whistles to make them feel,
And they will.
I don't know. I guess that's the thing is it's like I don't I don't dislike Keller's Keep and Witchlord, but I also just don't think that they're particularly compelling as products. It's kind of like,
Well,
they
it's
came
worked.
with the Mythic tier. It's like,
It's worked thus far because people are nostalgic for those quests.
yeah,
And the fact that people out there will buy like 2 or 3 game systems just to have more monsters. It's like,
Right.
well, we'll just give you a box of more monsters, but while we're at it, here's some more quests and cardboard. Why not?
yeah. I mean, I think Witchlord at least patches a problem in the base box, which is that there aren't enough undead monsters in the base game.
Well, and it's a budget point too. Like, not everybody is just like, oh yeah, I can easily buy another $200 worth of expansions for this game. It's like, well, maybe I can afford a $30 expansion or a $25 expansion.
Right. Yeah, but
I want to answer a couple questions, and I want to get into the quest here. All of this has been a great
yeah, I'll
back and
let
forth.
you get started here.
Thanks.
Right, yeah, I'm not going to try it. I'll stop hijacking this into an impromptu rant cast.
Yeah. So Gravendale Games says, I was going to make this life hell for my site. I just programmed expansion requirements. Not I'll have it, says Mythic Tier, the later release. Well, the thing is, though, when you consider what the Mythic Tier actually is, all those extra monsters are just variations on the monsters you already have.
Just
So
the
it's not like you
same
have to have
monster.
Goblin number 3, Goblin number 4. It's still a Goblin. All it is two. It's just going to be 2 more quest books, and like there aren't even any new icons. Like you think about Squidge Monster and H Quest Builder, and he's like, "Oh
Right.
man, I got all this work to do." No, you don't. Not really, because it's only Joe's quest book that has the new. There's like 3 new tiles. Well, then the 2 big rooms, and then the dragon. But that's
Were
only
the
like
tiles?
used
Was
in
the
2
tile
quests.
sheet only for Perpetual Darkness?
It
I
was
think guess
only
I thought
for
it.
10 quests.
I thought it was for all 3 for some reason.
Nope, not at all. No,
Oh.
the assets that are used by Prophecy of Telor and Spirit Queen's Torment are the same as the game system. Like
Yeah, I
the
guess
only
we'll
difference
just
is
have to wait
maybe
and
the
see.
entrance and exit doors, which you don't even need those. Just use an extra door at the start and at the end.
Right.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
like whatever they put into, unless they redesign those quests radically, whatever they put into those boxes is just going to be extra filler. But people aren't going to
Yeah.
turn it down because they're like, oh, new stuff, yay!
Yeah, I mean, for the I think the thing that I would hate in my particular position is if it's like all the alternate sculpts I already have, the same quest book, and then like 2 brand new exclusive boss sculpts or something. Where I'm like, okay, so you're asking me to spend, $40 to buy stuff I don't need to get just these 2 figures, and then it's like, now I got to wait for somebody on eBay to start parting this thing out.
Yeah.
So I can just buy these figures because I don't want to buy the whole box. It's like that would be the worst case for me, where it's like you're almost punishing in a way the people who actually supported you at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any worry about that at all.
But yeah, either a very substantial reworking where there's a lot of new stuff, like
A few
that would
people
be
are
super cool.
A few people are
And-
going to be pissed, but the number of people
Yeah.
that'll be pissed is going to be tiny compared to the number of people who are going to be happy about it and spend more money gladly.
It's it's sort of the like, I'm happy, right? I feel good about my purchase when I feel like I'm getting a good product for my money.
Mhm.
It's I just don't want them to end up slipping down that slope into the like,
This
I
is an
feel like you're trying to
exclusive
trick
2 years later.
I feel like you're
just
trying
kidding.
to trick me or force me to spend money on something that I don't want in order to get
Right.
something I do want.
Well, thank
that
goodness.
as long as they steer clear of that, I'm sure
Yeah.
everything will be great.
Well, I was worried early on that's what it was going to be. Every time there was a new Hero Quest product, it was going to be a HasLab campaign. And
Yeah.
then where there was going to be like a 2-year delay, and then it was going to come to retail. Like they were going to do it like that. But thankfully they didn't. They just proved themselves, and it's like, okay, it was obviously a big success, but a lot of people were upset about it. So this is the way to go from here
Right.
on.
But yeah, so I don't know. I guess I remain somewhat optimistic that they may actually decide to spruce them up. I don't know whether,
Yeah, there
will
isn't
they
much.
will they be reconnecting with the original designers and saying like, hey, last time when you designed this quest, you were under these constraints of like, hey, you have to stick to the base game's
Yeah.
components. If you could have put anything new in there, what would you have done? And then they're like,
If they want to spend more money. But I've heard also that some of those people are like frequent contributors. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just a simple matter of walking down the hall and saying, "Hey, you free? You want to do another quick little project here?"
Yeah, so it's kind of I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm kind of hopeful that like there's a decent possibility that it'll be a product that is sort of a compelling new purchase, even if you already had the old version.
Right. Not just they fixed the typos that were in the original version.
Right, as opposed to this is only for the people who missed the crowd funding.
Yeah, but even if they did that, I think they would make a tidy.
I think
sum
it'd be
of money.
fine. Yeah, I think it'd be fine. It would just not be something, it would be, one of your major 6-month releases
Well,
is something I'm going to pass on. Like,
Because it'll always be just an arms race then. because they'll always have, oh, and a little something for the early backers that no one else can get.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, we'll give you all of that, but now a little something extra for the people that, didn't. And then, okay, now we'll re-release that. And, oh, a little something extra for the little. So, yeah. But yes, they are limiting the dice. They've done this with all their releases, where you're limited to a certain number that you can order at a time. And the reason they do that is to limit scalping, not because it's a limited release, but because there are people out there that be like, oh, there's 500 units, I'm going to buy 450 of them.
Yeah,
So-
they buy, or they would try
I'll
to
have
literally buy all 500.
I'll have 6 months where I can sell this at double the price, make a tidy profit, while Hasbro is scrambling to, fill production.
I mean,
So-
this is,
But
one
yes,
of the other.
You could say, well, I've got 10 credit cards and 10 friends, so we're just gonna order it piecemeal and we're gonna work together and throw it all on eBay. I mean, but it makes it harder for them to do that than just,
Yep.
you walk into Walmart and you just clear the entire shelf and then all the crying kids behind you and you just leave and haha, I can just sell these. It's gonna be great.
There's a lot of people doing a lot of kind of
Shady stuff.
scummy stuff to try to make a dollar. Like that, one of the other things that I've been working on is some projects in Lego, and there are people they buy large numbers of stuff that you can order direct from Lego via their
You
pick-a-brick
artificially
system.
limit the supply.
Well, no, but there are people who buy, it's like, oh, you don't have to buy this entire set if you want another one of this particular knight figure. You can just go on and order that torso and those legs and a head and a helmet piecemeal direct from Lego, and they ship it to you a week later.
Mhm.
And there are people who order hundreds of those and then post them on eBay for 3 times the price,
Yeah.
hoping to just catch buyers who don't realize that they can just order it directly from the manufacturer for less
Exactly.
money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, what you're doing is just so low.
Yeah, it's like the guy who asks you for change for the bus and he asks you for the wrong amount. It's like, I know the bus ticket is only $2. Why are you asking me for $10? It's like you're scamming me.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I need that for this other thing, and okay, well, why
I
don't you
needed to
just say
put it
that?
in my pocket as profit after I get off the bus.
Right. It's like, well, okay, don't lie to me. So I just want to answer a couple of these things, and then we should get into it. Although this was a lot of fun. Let's see. So I just want to say that I'm not with the people who are starting all these rumors. Like, I know you just said it, Carnival, and you were just talking, but Joe Manganiello was hard to work with. He was this weird D&D guy that his vision didn't fit. Like, we don't know any of that stuff. Like,
That was pure speculation.
that's pure
I was
speculation.
just,
I bet that's not even true. I know
Yeah,
that
no.
a couple people, like Shadzar, said this. He was a big D&D guy. He's always complaining about the latest D&D thing sucks. I don't have a dog in that fight, but there's definitely a lot of people that are like that. And I think there was definitely a perception that all these guest artists, except for Stephen Baker, were connected to D&D somehow. And it's like, oh, they don't really know HeroQuest. They're just shoveling in this other game that's way more popular into HeroQuest, and it's going to ruin everything. I don't know. I've read Crypt of Perpetual Darkness, never played it. There's some jokes in it. There's definitely some winking at the camera, that goes on in the writing of it, which is kind of silly. But it's the kind of thing that you could see us kids writing into our quests, putting jokes in there that we think are funny, and it's in that way it fits. But this idea that well, you can't have taverns and gnomes and dragons in HeroQuest because that's what TSR would have done in D&D instead of Games Workshop back in the 80s.
Yes,
I don't know.
I'm sure the city of Altdorf was completely dry.
I don't even I don't see the big deal. And
Yeah, I'm
so
just,
what
I'm
if
just
you have
referring, right? Like the imperial capital from the Warhammer world. Yes, I'm sure there were not a single tavern in that entire
if
city.
you have well the other thing is how pure is the HeroQuest canon? I don't think it really makes a difference because you've got tons of people online who have no problem saying that the Dave Morris novels are not canon. Why? Just because they're not canon. Okay, but why are you saying that? Well, the geography doesn't fit Warhammer.
Yeah. Why is it important to you? I
Why
guess
is it
sort
important that
of-
it fits the geography of Warhammer? It's like,
Yeah.
and then there's people that will say, well, I ignore the European version because Morkar is not canon, but Zargon is, and it's like, why?
What does
Or
that
the
mean?
Japanese version is so different, it's not really HeroQuest. So they want to have like this absolutely pure like timeline and official geography and like official, like it doesn't even make sense because like HeroQuest, yes, they give you these quests and people demand to know which quest pack comes next after this other one. But it's like when I played HeroQuest, all the heroes got killed and the bad guys won. Like, is that canon? Oh no. When I played, see the elf got the treasure, but then the wizard died, and then a different wizard replaced him. It's like every game session is different, but I guess people want there to be like this official storyline that is happening in the background that's the real story, even though it's not the story of anyone's actual game. And I guess that somehow ties in with the rules and the geography, and so like a certain rule set is like the official one. And so I guess from that point of view, it really matters if you have a one-off quest pack that somebody didn't like. Like, I don't like the way Teo Sabadia portrayed the orcs, so we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. It's like, well,
That's just like,
Yeah.
well, you can do that. Like,
I don't want there to be subpar HeroQuest product.
Yeah.
So I'm going to complain and say, yeah, the bard's kind of silly, but him existing in the world doesn't like break the game. I mean, okay,
It's-
just
I mean, it's
release
just-
another one that's better, and
it's like,
we use the
I mean,
one
it's,
that
I
want.
guess it feels like people needing validation. You know, it's not enough to just say, well, you know what, I'm just not going to let, you know, I'm going to cut it from my game.
Yeah. Well, it's like
they need other people to agree that that's the right decision or something. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, if it's the right decision for
interactive
you and
game.
your group,
yeah.
then it's fine.
You
Like-
may never play the Frozen Horror. So the fact that it like the gameplay in it is horrendously broken doesn't affect your game. I mean, I guess you could say it brings the brand down. Like if they release a crappy Star Wars movie now, like I'm embarrassed to say I'm a fan because everybody think, "Oh, you liked that crappy movie that came out?" It's like, "No, that was one out of, 100 different stories, and yeah, it kind of sucked and we'll just move on." But I guess at least there, Star Wars pretends to be this like grand vision where everything connects to itself, whereas this is a board game where probably not everybody buys everything and plays everything in the same order. So
Right.
I
Yeah, I mean, I
want it
I'm
to be good,
planning
but
to,
I don't mind.
I'm planning to remix Dread Moon to make it take place before Mage of the Mirror rather than after.
Sure. Well, I'm playing them simultaneously, so I'm not following
Yeah.
anyone's advice. I played the Frozen Horror with people who had never played HeroQuest before,
Right.
without playing other quests beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, actually run it as a campaign eventually.
Yeah,
Where-
but it's really
Once,
tough.
once my game room is usable again.
Yeah, it's really tough. So yeah, I don't know about any bad blood between anybody. I mean, the way it's
Yeah, no,
it-
that
I
was
know-
not.
I know.
I was not attempting to reference any existing.
I know.
I didn't even know that there were rumors about that. I was just coming up with something off the cuff as like a.
Well, as far as I know, there aren't any.
It could be that they had a bad business relationship or something, and it's like,
Well,
who knows?
The way,
But
the way they
yeah, I
portray
wasn't
it-
trying to build on anything that
Yeah.
people had already been saying.
The way N. Carmine sells it is everybody they've worked with, it's been a great experience. But I know,
Yeah, I mean-
I know in the world of entertainment, there is kind of that like don't burn any bridges kind of thing. Like people
Yeah.
won't say bad things about other people, even if they didn't like them, because there's always the possibility
Right.
they could work together again. So they'll never
And,
close that
You
door.
don't want it. You don't want that to come back to you. And
No, it's like, whoa,
end up-
you said I was hard to work with. You still feel that way? No,
Right.
sorry. Yeah, it's usually somebody who's been out of the business for years. Then they say, yeah, those guys were jerks. I hated them. They got in my way, whatever. It's like, oh, just kidding. We're working together again. We're making money again. So it's all good. It's all is forgiven. Yeah, it just makes more sense just not to say that. So yeah, they could be
Right.
sugarcoating it, but I haven't heard anything of anybody saying, oh yeah, one night in a drunken brawl, like VH1 behind the music. Let me just run through these comments and then let's get the quest going. Let's see. Xerxes, I think the quest book goal was reached. Dragon Sculpt. Yeah. So Joe Manganiello
It actually wasn't.
He actually presents it as if he was the one who convinced them to release his stretch goal and the one right before it, which was the extra gargoyle. Like, those were not reached. Those were not funded.
Right, yeah.
We got them anyway.
We came up just short of them.
But that's not the reason why we're not getting those in retail. The reason is because there was some proprietary agreement with him for that particular quest book. So he must have retained some type of ownership or some agreement where it wasn't going to be a wider release. But that's not the case with the other ones.
Makes sense somewhat, right? Like he was, I think probably not even arguably, he's a bigger name than the brand was at the time.
Yeah, he was brought in, and he wanted to come in to help promote it because he was a smaller celebrity in the world of gaming, and it was like, oh, he can get more people interested and involved that wouldn't otherwise have noticed this. And I don't know if he knew some of those other artists or if they were already on board, but for all we know, again, not to start rumors, he could have introduced some people or made some phone calls. He could have been part of the process, or he could have just been a celebrity face saying, "Hey, this is great."
But it also means he had
thing.
He would have had the leverage to potentially negotiate. More.
Say, well, I just want this just to be something special, just for this particular campaign, and it won't go beyond that.
Or even just, hey, you don't have the right to reproduce or resell this outside this campaign without my say-so.
Yeah, and maybe he's really busy and they can't get anything resolved, or maybe they're not trying very hard because they know.
Yeah, maybe they're focusing. They have all these other things, and they're just not. They don't even have any particular desire to tackle that just yet.
Yeah.
Because if
it were up to me, I'd just say, dude, just sign it, just release it because people want it. And as long as that's out of reach, people are still going to sell. Oh, the exclusive dragon that you couldn't get. Here it is. Yeah. $100.
The thing is, I wouldn't at all fault him for wanting to keep some of those rights. Like when you look back at the saga with the Elf Quest, right, where this woman designed it and got no credit.
Catherine Connors, yeah.
Like they weren't even. And somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody tried to contact the. Wasn't there a minor drama over someone trying to contact Hasbro to say hey, can you just add my name to the credits on this thing as a writer or a concept person or something? And it was and they supposedly they supposedly rudely shut them down, and it's so it's I don't fault at all. He had the power to do so, to say, hey, well, you know what? I'm just going to protect the thing that I made.
Yeah. Even though it's not like he's going to sell it out of his garage or something.
But it's just, there are so many horror stories of big business, saying one thing and then screwing the person over later because they didn't retain the rights to it. And it's
yeah. Well, I'm sure each one of those designers, what are they going to do? They're going to have every single person that worked on the original Hero Quest from back in the day, beating down the door saying, I want, 1.4 million. I want, a percentage of the sales of the new thing. And it's just oh crap, now we got to settle with all these people. It's they probably just did contract work, and it's okay, well, it would be nice if they acknowledge them, but they wouldn't have to. I mean, it kind of sucks that they don't, but
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's it's totally reasonable on both sides. Unfortunately, it's it's totally reasonable for the guy to say, hey, I don't want any money, I just want to get my name added where it should be. And it's also totally reasonable for Hasbro to have one of their legal people go, this would set a really uncomfortable precedent for us if we grant that request, because then other people might come out of the woodwork and start demanding money, and it's then what do you do?
Right, we got to credit everybody that was working on it.
Or if they demand money instead of just their name on the box,
Yeah, because not everybody. Yeah, because it's you fall on hard times. Oh, you mean I could get paid for that? Great. How much can I get? I'm gonna sue him and get something.
Right, and so it's sort of it's an unfortunate thing where, and maybe they were ruder than they needed to be about it or something. I don't know.
Or maybe that was just a story. We don't know.
Who knows? Really, right. Yeah.
People can take things the wrong way.
But it's just, I never fault any creator for
wanting
protecting their own kind of creation to the
Yeah.
if they have the power to
Anymore.
negotiate a more favorable contract, then more power to them, because usually the balance goes the other way.
Yeah, so those last two goals were not reached, but let's see.
I want to say I think we ended it went up and then actually went down again a little.
Only
like it
slightly.
peaked.
It's like
Yeah, but
3.6 million. 3.6 million.
Well, I was gonna say I think it peaked like 200,000 or 300,000 under the 3.8 million
Yeah,
goal,
it
and then it sunk, like people started canceling or something.
Yeah, I
because
think
it sunk a
some
little
people
bit after that.
People oversold. Like people were using money they didn't have to try to
Yeah.
make it go higher. Like no.
So like it got close to that like next to last one, but then didn't quite reach it, and then sunk back a little. But then we got both of them anyway.
Well, yeah, it was like $100,000 short of making
the second
gargoyle.
gargoyle. Yeah. Right. Well, I will. I'll make it easy on you. I'll duck out of here. Have
Thanks,
fun with
Gunnagle.
your game, Kurgan. It's always
All
good
right.
to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks. Yep. All opinions are valid except mine are more valid than others. Just kidding. Just kidding. Keeping the Heroescape showing up, not funded. Well, I like the fact that Avalon Hill is they're doing everything they can within their company to make sure that this stuff does happen, even if it doesn't happen the way that they originally intended. So yeah, Heroescape is going to come out, just in a different form through Renegade Studios. Xerxes, 4 heroes travel to the depths of quests and blank, and fill in the blank, and that's what makes HeroQuest an open world of many possibilities. Fubar says, and yes, like everyone else, I hear nothing of bad blood with Joe and Avalon Hill. It could be a contract thing, all rights thing, who knows thing. Only Joe and the contact people at Hasbro know why, if, and when. Yeah, agreed. We don't have any special insight into why it is the way it is. We just know that for whatever reason, Joe Manganiello has some special connection with his stuff, and it's not going to come to retail anytime soon, even though people want it. And judging by the quality, it's not the greatest loss, but at the same time, yeah, if it were up to me, I would say, yeah, he should just, if he was my best buddy and I could convince him to just release it, I'd say, Joe, for the good of the fans, you should do it. Even if I don't personally want it, you should do it. But he doesn't know who I am, and I don't know the guy. It's also kind of like, hey, do I have to acknowledge the name of the person that made my burger or Burger King? I just finished my own game. Yeah, I like the fact that people are doing their own games now. That's great. I mean, people always could, but the fact that I'm not the only person who regularly streams HeroQuest, like for other people. Darth the Adio says the exclusive dice for HeroQuest from Gen Con went on sale today at Hasbro Pulse. Nice. Yeah, so I don't have any ill will towards any of those people. Like I said, I feel like there's people in the know at Avalon Hill who are trying to get this stuff released. They know people want it, and they're trying to get it out there. It's just they have to move slowly. We have to be patient. Well, the fact that we clamor for stuff, I think, helps them, because then they can say, look, people are begging us every single day for this stuff. People are proving that they want it. You know, they're shoveling out, huge amounts of money to buy aftermarket copies. So every day they can shove that in their bosses' faces and say, see, this is why we need to make this happen. So it works to our advantage. If we were all just like, yes, we're all just happy with whatever the company decides to do, whatever they do is glorious and great, nothing ever changes. So a little bit of complaining actually does make things happen. I mean, obviously you don't want to make death threats or be a jerk about it, but a little bit of complaining can make things happen. I mean, companies ignore their target audience, their paying customers, at their own peril. It's just the truth. So anyway, all that editorial stuff aside, I mean, you may think I'm full of crap, so that's your right. One of my players really wants to play as the Warlock. All right, guys, I'm going to stop the stream and restart it so we can edit all this stuff later and then call for heroes. So I know Glasgow has been waiting patiently.